Yeah, if I don't show up. And that's the only way I can lose. And believe me, I will be there.
This is Daryl, Too Sweet Coley, 38 and 228 knockouts, former #1 welterweight in the world, on the neutral corner with Jerry Sosa.
I'm gonna show you how great I am.
I'm the best ever. I'm the most brutal and vicious and most ruthless champion there's ever been. There's no one can stop me.
I wish I was 50 years younger and I'd kick your ass.
You won't do shit.
Well, hello, and how is everyone doing tonight? This is the Neutral Corner on FFN Radio Network, and our guest tonight's got some local ties to my area, the New Bedford, Mass area. I'm from Fall River, Massachusetts. He's from New Bedford, but you know they're sister cities, is what they say. We got Drew Dwelly, 11-0 with 11 knockouts. We're going to talk about his career. We're going to talk about his moved to Miami from New Bedford. We'll talk about his life in New Bedford and how things are going in Miami. We'll talk about his fights. We'll talk about things he's got going on and coming up. But I do want to say, I hope everyone enjoyed their Thanksgiving. I had the opportunity to see the West Point Cadets take on the local Golden Glove winners here in Fall River, Massachusetts. Got some great interviews. We're going to play those next week's show. Some great pictures, and we're going to do a little bit of talking about that tonight. Daryl Coley, the world champion, Daryl Coley, Too Sweet Coley, is not here tonight. He is on the road, but he'll be back with us next week, and maybe even join in tonight. I'm not sure. Daryl is, pops in and pops out. He's a very busy person. He's got a lot going on for the holidays, a lot of fundraisers, fund drives, and all that stuff. But tonight's guest is no other than Drew Tomahawk Dwelly, 11-0 with 11 knockouts. So let's bring Drew on and welcome Drew to the show. Drew, how are you, sir?
Hey, I'm doing good. How are you?
Good, man. How was your Thanksgiving?
It was pretty good. Didn't get to see the family, but it was still cool. Got to eat good and see some friends, so it was cool.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, so you didn't have to watch your diet or anything like that. You could just indulge into the stuffing, the turkey, and all that stuff.
Yeah, I got to eat good. I got a few months until what our next possible fight is, so gave me some time, some freedom to be able to eat what I wanted to. So it was nice.
Absolutely. That's what I'm talking about. I tell you, I do the keto thing, but when it came to Thanksgiving, I was like, you know what? This Thanksgiving, I'm gonna eat. And up this way, a lot of Portuguese food. I had some great Portuguese stuffing. So listen, you're from the New Bedford area, right? So tell me about growing up in New Bedford, and we'll get into when you started boxing and all that stuff. So you're from the New Bedford area. Tell me a little bit about growing up in New Bedford.
I mean, I love New Bedford. So growing up in New Bedford is great. It's not far from the high school. The kid being able to, that's when the New Bedford I was going back to back in basically every sport in mid-90s. And I remember being able to hear the football games from the room of my house. We used to go out on the roof, announcers from the football games. We were close enough to the stadium. So it was cool. We used to go to all the games and go. So you used to look up to these guys in like they were professional athletes. Seeing these guys going, winning state championships in all the different sports, playing football, basketball, and baseball, watching them win championships was like, that's as good as it gets. You didn't even, that was like watching the pros.
So you got to remember the rivalry between Durfee High School basketball and New Bedford, right? The Thanksgiving Day games between New Bedford and Durfee High School, and those are some great times, some great memories, man. That's awesome. That's awesome. How old were you when you started boxing?
27. I started late.
At 27. So you didn't do any? Did you do any boxing in New Bedford?
Never. I never started. I started boxing down here in Miami. Actually, I was never always liked boxing. I was never something. My brother actually wanted to start boxing when we were younger. He was 3 years older, so we wanted to be 10-ish or something. We had Ray Oliveira. We had some good fighters. He was already pro at the time. We had other guys that were amateur that were really good. And it was something that he always liked. He always liked wrestling and boxing and not that type of stuff. And we wanted to start going, but it was like you're going to have to give up at least one of the sports that you're playing. At that time, already playing 3 sports. You got to pick which one you want to quit to box. And then you can't box part-time. So do you quit all your sports? It was kind of like we went maybe to the gym for, I don't know, a week or 2. And just being naturally athletic, the trainers really liked the things I could do. They used to ask my dad all the time to let me box. And, but being a little kid, it's like you don't want to see your kid go through that kind of damage. So he wasn't, knowing that I was not going to want other sports to do that. It was just the timing was off. So after that, it was like that in between time between sports that we went. And then as soon as the whatever football season started at the end of summer, we stopped and never got into it. So it wasn't until down here that I really got into it.
So you said you were playing 3 sports. What were the 3 sports you were playing?
I played football, basketball, and baseball.
Nice. So I talked to 2 gentlemen that you're familiar with, Bruce David, right?
Yep.
Wayland City Baseball, and Sean Riley, another bomb squad guy. Sean could hit the shit out of a ball. You know that.
Yeah.
They said that you could hit a baseball, man.
Yeah.
So tell me about your baseball experience, man. Tell me about it, man. I mean, how many home runs did you have in Little League, man? How many home runs did you have in Little League?
I led the league, actually. I had my 12-year-old year, I led the league. I had 13.
Nice. What was your position in baseball?
When I was younger, I played second and third. And then my freshman year of college, I played third. And with these guys with metal bats and these big, huge college players, I said, to hell with that. I'll try the outfield. And I moved to center field. I was the fastest guy on the team, so it was like no sense in wasting my speed at third and no sense in having these guys turn on balls that they're hitting them 120 at me. I was like, let me put my speed to use out in the outfield and played center field the rest of my career.
Absolutely. So let me ask you, what do you miss most about New Bedford?
All my friends and family. It's different here. You don't make the same type of connections, the same type of friends. Here, I guess, I don't know if it's because Miami's just so many people from so many different places. It's so different. The cultures are different. Everything's so different. You don't have the people that you grew up with. All my group of close friends and my family, my parents, everything that's where everybody's in the only one here. So not having that close group of friends, we've been friends since we were 3-4 years old. And we're all still just as close. So when I go home, it's like I haven't been gone at all. And I've been gone 15 years. So it really feels like you spent one night away and you're back. It's no different. Yeah. So that's the thing I really miss the most. I mean, the food. Don't get me started on the food, but
tell me about it. Tell me about it, Drew. Tell me about the food.
I was actually
nothing like it in Miami, right?
I was just at the gym today, actually, with a guy from the Framingham area and a guy from Providence. And we were talking about the food. We were talking about coffee milk. People don't know about. Talking about linguiça and caserla. People don't know about. All the Portuguese, just so much stuff that people here just don't know about. And you can't even explain it to them, because if you try to, they're going to have such a different image of what it is that they're not going to appreciate how good it actually is.
And it's funny, we take it for granted. For like I'm from Fall River, you're from New Bedford, similar sister cities. Cherise, caserla, all that good stuff, goat cheese and pup slush bread, and so we take that for granted, right? So we take ourselves and go somewhere else, and it's like, wow, the food's totally different. Even the Chinese food, I mean, it's just totally different. So you said you played basketball, you played baseball, and you played football. Now, did you go to New Bedford High School?
Yeah, played at New Bedford High. Played all 3 at New Bedford High.
Nice. what are some of the memories that you really remember and take into boxing, or anything you've learned from any of your coaches that you that they instilled in you, work ethic and showing up on time and practicing, that you took into the boxing world?
I mean, my coaches definitely put that in me, but I've had that in me since I was a kid. I've just always had that drive and that inner drive and passion to do stuff. I mean, me and my dad talk about all the time. We joke about when I was a little kid, he'll come home from work, working a long day, and come home from work, and I'd be at the end of the driveway with 2 gloves and a ball,
Wow.
and he
Wow.
like waiting for him to throw the ball around with me. And my parents would get home from work, and I already be in my football equipment, ready to go to practice. No kids are there. You don't see kids like kicking the door down to go to practice. A game, yeah, but practice very rarely. So
Yeah.
it was just always in me. It was just always, I've just always loved it. I mean, I've had great coaches along the way, and they've magnified that, but it's always been something that's been there. And then having good coaches on top of that, coaches that care, coaches that really want to see you perform at your best. It's learned a lot of stuff, and then learned a lot how to use your body to gain the most speed, power, that type of stuff, and how to use your mind, how to be smart, how to do things the right way rather than something that might cause an injury or something that's not going to work or whatever. So all those things translate into boxing so well because you need all that. How
Yeah,
important,
absolutely.
especially the mental side, is.
Absolutely. So what now, being from New Bedford and then moving to Miami, why the move to Miami, if you don't mind me asking?
Well, football and baseball were my main sports. Basketball, I really wasn't that great. I was just athletic. So it was kind of a toss-up what I was going to choose to go to college. It was either baseball or football or both. I had a lot of offers for both. My dad wanted me to focus on one, so we chose baseball because the chance of injury was way lower. The potential to play after school, like after college, maybe professionally, something was clearly much higher in baseball than football. Not like I'm some big towering refrigerator, guy. So, I originally went to college up in New Hampshire at Franklin Pierce University.
Franklin
And
Pierce, yeah.
we played well. We did good. The team was really good. Went to the World Series my freshman year. It just wasn't the place for me. It wasn't where I wanted to be. I remember walking to a practice through the snow. We had like a dome that we were practicing through, and I'm walking through like 2 feet of snow. I remember being like,
Wow.
what am I doing? What the hell is wrong with me? Why am I doing this? And that was the moment that I was like, this is it for me. I got to get out of here. I went to practice, went back to my dorm and started applying to schools. And we had played down in Miami on our spring break my freshman year. So we had played Barry, we had played Tampa, we played Lynn, we played a handful of teams. So I was like, you know what? I can play in that conference, and I would much rather play in the sunshine than in the snow. So
Absolutely.
I started applying to all those types of schools, and Barry University got back to me quick and accepted me. And I was like, you know what? That's it. That's what I'm doing. I'm going. The next semester I took off, and I moved down here mid-year in January, called the coach like 2 weeks before I was coming and said, hey, I'm transferring down there. I'll be there.
Wow.
And shockingly enough, the coach is from Fall River.
Really?
Yeah, he was a Fall River guy. Played at Durfee.
Nice.
And then he coached, I think, for a little while at UMass Dartmouth, and then was down here and then became the head coach. And last time I fought up in Mass, he was there. He came and brought a few of his buddies. So it was, really just walking through. Like I said, in high school, we played with Wood Bats. That was when the state went to Wood Bats for some reason. Unfortunately, the years I was in high school. And then when I got to college, it was a Wood Bat conference. So it was good that I had played, but I'm like, man, it's 36 degrees out and like drizzling, and they play on freaking wood bats. This sucks. I get the hell out of here. I gotta be somewhere warm, and just that it just like I said, that one day, that's the day that really changed my mind. Walking through the snow to get to practice, and I was like, this isn't for me. It's just not it.
No,
And
I hear you.
choice.
And a wood bat, actually, a wood bat makes you a real genuine hitter. I mean, an aluminum bat, the balls are flying off, at a high pace. So, yeah, you know what I mean. Like I said, my son plays baseball at UMass Dartmouth, and they use aluminum bats, but he does play in a men's league where it's a wood bat, and he, I love the wood bat. You know what I mean. So let's. You started boxing at 27 in Miami. How did you find boxing in Miami? You moved to Miami. You made the decision. You went to college. You graduated. So where did boxing come into all that mix? You said you were into boxing when you were younger, but you didn't want to give up the sports and stuff like that. So now we're in Miami. What do we do? Do we look for a boxing gym? How's that all play out?
Actually, it kind of just fell in my lap. I had a buddy that I played baseball with in college. We stayed good friends. We're still good friends. He was working, and across the street from his work was a small little gym, and he just like accidentally found the gym. I don't know, walking out on his lunch break or something, and just happened to see the small little gym across the street. So he went in, he talked to the guy, and he was interested in it, and he knew I was athletic and into everything, and we were close friends. So he called me. I was actually home in New Bedford. It was like January or so. I was home at like the Christmas break time, and he called and said, "Hey, I found a little boxing gym. We should try it out. I know you would like it. I think you would probably be good at it. Let's just give it a try." At this time, I had been out of college for, I don't know, 2 years or so, 2-3 years. And when baseball ended, I thought for sure I was getting drafted. It didn't happen. And it was time to move on and see what else was next, start working. And then it was just, you're just going to work and going to the gym. It was boring. There was nothing. There was no, for the first time in my life, I had no competitive thing. I had nothing to do competitively. And I was like, man, there's got to be more than just going to work and going to gym. This can't be enough. This can't be all there is. There's got to be more. So when he called, I was like, man, that would be awesome, because it'd be a different workout, some cardio instead of just lifting heavy weights in the gym, something different. It'd be cool to learn. Like, you never know if you just go out to dinner with your girlfriend, you're leaving, somebody wants to mess with you. It'd be cool to be able to defend yourself. I'm like, yeah, why not? Let's just go try it out, see what it's about. It'd be cool to learn. Never had intention of fighting. Even I remember people asking me, "Oh, you started boxing?" I'm like, "Yeah, but I'm not gonna fight. I'm not fighting. Like, it's just, I just want to learn, just get a different kind of workout." And then first day I went in, I fell in love with it. Really the mental aspect of it. It's like you're learning the footwork, you're learning the punches, you're learning this, and every day you go, you're like, man, I can do that shit better. I can do it better than how I did it today. Like, you can every day. That inner competitiveness of like, that wasn't good enough. I got to do it better tomorrow. And it just, from there it went, and it's been about 7 years, and I pretty much haven't missed a day of the gym since that first day.
I got a video of you up there playing now. Blaze, if you could put that, you can see it, but yeah, man, look at you, man. You're in great shape, man. You're in great shape.
Yeah.
Are we getting ready for a fight here?
Yeah, this was right before my last fight. This was a week or two before my last fight. Was a week ago.
Yeah. So you mentioned something about the Rocky Marciano gloves. Is that what those were?
Yeah, they're just they're called Gladiator gloves, from a company named TK Boxing. I love them. I love those gloves. They look like the older gloves that these guys used to wear, like way back when. So it just it reminds me of that. And they probably, I hope for their sake they didn't use gloves this thin, because they're pretty thin. So they're good for conditioning your hands and stuff like that on the bags. But that's like the feel that it gives you. That's what it makes you think that you're these guys way back when fighting.
So you got to remember not just Rocky Marciano, but Marvin Hagler, man.
Oh, of course, it's one of the best middleweights ever.
Hagler, I mean Hagler
One of the
growing up, yeah,
one of the best and one of the most underrated.
So when Rocky Marciano, he fought, I think it was the 40s, 50s, he was boxing, and I want to read you because my grandfather, I boxed, my grandfather boxed, my whole family is history of boxing. Do you want to know what I'm going to tell you? What my grandfather's record was? He had 209 professional fights. 209 professional fights. He had 171 wins. And he had 89 knockouts. How many fighters do you know today have 209 professional fights? All right, so we're talking about the Rocky Mafia. Those were the gladiators, right? Those were the guys that they fought, and they didn't make no money at all, but they fought. They fought more than once or twice a year. So let me ask you, Tomahawk, where'd the nickname? No, before we get into that, because I got stuff everywhere. You had no amateur career.
I had 18 amateur fights, but basically nothing. Yeah. And it was quick.
And then you jump right in. To boxing and the pro career. You got a trainer, right? I mean, who's your trainer now?
A guy named Donato Di Martis, an Italian guy. He was a professional fighter himself. Had a few professional fights and stuff, but a very good coach. He's very, very, very intelligent, very articulate the way he teaches. So it's very easy to understand, and he understands what you need for your style and perfects it. And it's I've been with him about 6 months or so now, and man, the changes he's made in my game it's unbelievable. It's really unbelievable how much it changed.
Yeah, well, I mean, it shows because I was watching a video, and if my producer can bring up that video, you hit that guy with a body shot, and I was like, yo, nobody goes to the body anymore. Everybody's headhunting.
Yeah.
And I like that old school style of boxing, body, head, body. You know what I mean? Look, man, I could take a shot to the head and recover. That body shot, though, that shit lingers 2, 3, 4 rounds, man. I mean, look, I always say this. If you think you're in shape, if you really think you're in tip-top shape, I want you to hit the bag for 2 rounds. I want you to hit the heavy bag for 2 rounds. That's going to really tell you if you are in tremendous shape. So here we go right here. This is the video right here. Watch this. I want you to watch this. So did you see that? I mean, were you just going to the body, poke to the body, and come up top?
Nah, I saw the way he was standing. I saw his hands go up and just saw the opening, and it was just right in the moment. And I mean, I didn't think it was going to land how it did and knock him out, but I saw him just reacted to it right there, and then figured do that, and then react to whatever happens next.
Yeah, I mean that was well played. I want to see that. He's hurting, man. Body shots fucking hurt, bro. People don't realize it, man.
And man, it was I didn't realize at the time until I rewatched the video, but it was loud. It landed solid and it was loud.
Yeah,
I was actually surprised at how loud it sounded.
I mean, dude, when I seen that, I said, "Oh yeah, he goes to the body." I love it. I love guys that go to the body. Who's your biggest inspiration in boxing or just in life?
My dad.
Wow.
He's just the what you want as a dad, what you want as a person. So he's always been that inspiration for me. He's always been that role model. So yeah, I mean, it's easy to say, yeah, you can look up to all these stars and all this kind of stuff. For example, Mayweather, he was in my gym yesterday. He was standing 5 feet away from me. So it's cool. You can say, yeah, guys like that are role models, but you don't know them. You don't know them. You don't know when the camera's off them. You don't know anything about them. So as much as you like to say those guys, yeah, but what do they really do for you? Because you don't know anything. They haven't taught you life lessons. They haven't taught you how to grow up, how to be an adult, how to carry yourself, how to manage things, how to manage feelings, emotion. So to me, it's hard to idolize people like that because they haven't really had the impact on it somebody close to you has. So for me, it's my dad.
Wow, that's awesome. He supports you.
Yeah.
You talk to him frequently, and does he watch some of your fights?
Always, yeah. He goes to most of them. He's flown down to most of them. He's been at the ones at home. When he's there, I make sure he's in the corner. He just holds.
Wow.
He doesn't do much because he knows he's not the coach. He knows he doesn't know boxing, so but he's just there just to be there. So some of the fights I've had out of the country, he's not been to, but the ones I had in Miami, ones that I've had, he's been there and been in the corner and stuff. So yeah, he gets more nervous than I do, but he loves it.
All parents do, man. So you say you fought out of the country. Where? I mean, I know, but I want our listeners to know, where are some of the fights that you fought out of the country?
I've been in Dominican Republic a handful of times. We have one of the promoters. He does promotion now down there. He's one of the big trainers. He was in the corner with Cotto, bunch of world champs. He just had a guy, Jason Rosario, won a world title just a couple years ago. He's one of the guys that when I go down there, he's the connection down there. So been down there a few times. My amateurs, I fought in Jamaica. That was pretty cool. So I've been in a few different places. I've been in all Florida, up in Mass, fought in West Virginia, but out of the country, DR and Jamaica. So hopefully,
how's it like traveling, man? I mean, you got to enjoy it. I mean, I know we spoke a little bit. If you want to tell people, that's up to you. But what are you doing when you're not boxing? What is Drew doing when Tomahawk's not boxing, Drew's not boxing? What's Drew doing?
Well, I work, so that takes up a good amount of my time. So
what do you do for work? If you don't have to answer the question. It's just
I'm a school teacher. I teach kindergarten, first and second grade special needs.
Wow. So let me ask you this. You this now. When some of the kids or some of the parents find out that you're a fighter, you're a boxer, and you're 11-0 with 11 knockouts, how do they react?
I think there's only a handful that know. I don't talk about it much. I don't like wear stuff. Like I don't put it out there because I don't want them to have a bad image of me and think, he's gonna be violent with my kid or something like that. I always think, like, what if they think that? What if they think this guy's a boxer? What if it's my kid? Like, I don't want them to think that. I don't want like a bad perception.
Yeah,
I'm not a guy that brags a lot, so I'm not gonna be out there like.
I'm not saying brag.
It's kind of like I don't. Yeah, I was actually just talking about this with somebody. It's like you have 3 different lives. When you're at work, you have a different mindset, different life. You're with the kids. You got to hold back on some things that you would say or do. You're a whole different person. As soon as you step out of there and you're just in everyday life, you're yourself.
Yeah.
The minute you go to the gym and you're in the ring, you're a different person. It's like you got to be able to maintain all 3 and be able to turn one off and turn one on. You're not just a fighter all the time. You don't just walk around the streets beating people up. You just, so you got to be able to have that separation between the 3.
And it's sad. I'll say it's sad that you feel that way because football players, hockey players, wrestlers, they're not tackling people in the streets, or MMA guys aren't putting guys in guillotines in the street, although it does happen. But I mean, boxing's is a sport, and there's rules, there's regulations, and there's a lot that goes into it. But is it a violent sport? Is it more violent than football? Is it more violent than wrestling? Is it more violent than MMA? I mean, it's one of the oldest sports in the world, right? I mean,
Yeah. I think the
not back in the
perception,
Roman days.
I think the perception of it is worse than what it actually is.
Yeah.
Like you said, it's not any more violent than maybe like football, but the perception of it is because a lot of times you hear stories of these people that were fighters and then they go out and they drink too much or they take drugs and then they have all these problems that lead them to street fights or whatever the case might be. It's just, I don't know, like I said, it's just, I separate the lives.
Yeah,
the
I
two
respect
different
that. I can respect that.
or
Yeah,
just
but and,
because-
and you know, and some of these parents will sit home and watch Sunday football, and as soon as one of their favorite players crushes the quarterback with the most violent hit, they're like, yeah, you know what I mean? But if they knew their school teacher knocked the guy out with a left hook or a body shot in the ring, I mean that's a debate for a whole other day. So let me ask you this, Drew. Where did the nickname Tomahawk come from?
Actually, from my father. He's
Really?
so my middle name is Thomas. So my initials are DPD, Drew Thomas Dwelly. So Tomahawk. For whatever reason, I don't know. My dad used to call me Tomahawk when I was a kid, and like it wasn't even like a big nickname. He used to just call it to me here and there. So there's not even a lot of people that knew he called me that when I was a kid. It was kind of like me and his thing. And when we were, when I was deciding to turn pro and stuff, it was like we need to come up with something because I need to give myself like an image. You got to give yourself that like something to represent who you are.
Right.
And
right.
we were trying to go through different things and figure different things out. And that came and I was like, you know what, that, since it was something you called me since I was a kid and it fits with my initials and it flows with the name and it's already almost what my name, like it just made sense. And then it was pretty much, all right, let's roll with that and let's make a logo. Let's get something that's like, now you have your brand, you have that recognizable image that when people see it, they know exactly what it is.
Yeah, I like the flow. I like it. Drew Tomahawk Dwelly. I like that. That's bad. And I want to get one of those shirts too. By the way, I want a Drew Dwelly Tomahawk shirt, man. So we'll talk off air about that.
All right.
So I noticed. So you're 11-0 with 11 knockouts. Out of those 11 fights, and they may not be just one. They may be one or two. But which one gave you the most challenge?
Probably the first
one. You can say none of them. You know what I mean?
Not probably the first one. It was.
Was that a draw or a decision or something?
I had actually my first two fights were draws. So
yeah.
The first draw was actually the guy was much heavier. He had a handful of fights, had a bigger amateur career. It's one of those guys that his record wasn't great. He was like 3-8 or some shit, or it was not like 3-10, whatever it was. But he was like 190 pounds. He came in way overweight.
Yeah.
They let it go. It was from the gym, the promoter's gym. It was with their guys. They had me spar with him just before, like a couple weeks before that, without telling me that to the opponent. Like it was just a shit situation. So it was tough going against a guy that was like 30 pounds heavier than you on fight night.
Yeah.
And it's not like he was great, but it wasn't bad. So he knew how to survive because he had experience. He was heavier, so your punches aren't having the same effect. So that one was difficult. Just because it's like, other than those reasons, it's your first pro fight. All the nerves, it makes it difficult because you're trying to get through all that part of it, and it's such a big thing that you're fighting all the emotions and stuff just as much as you're fighting. And then, but it was a good experience and it was cool, and it was, obviously nobody that was there thought it was a draw other than the promoters. Yeah.
So we know how boxing goes.
You know how that goes, but I would say after that, the third fight, so my first win, I had the 2 draws, and then I've had the 11 straight. The first one was like a 3rd round knockout, but that was the guy that was, again, it was still only my 3rd fight. He already had 10 fights or so. He had a decent little skill set. He was all right. And then I tore my bicep in the 2nd round. So that made it a little bit tough. And it was like, you don't want to look down at it because you don't want to know for sure that it's torn, because then if you hold back, you'll regret it later. So you're fighting through it. You got to just keep going like it didn't happen, but you're feeling it every time you throw the right hand. You're feeling it. So it's like that. Then I tore it round 2. I knocked him out round 3, and it wasn't until I was supposed to actually fight like a couple weeks later. I was like, I'm not even going to look at it in between rounds. I'm like, I'm not going to look at it. Get back to the locker room. I look down, and you can see the separation from my shoulder to the bicep. It was like a big indent.
Wow.
And I was like, wow, surgery's coming. And then, there was all that. So that was tough. That was probably the most like challenging, because it was, the 2 draws. So now you're putting pressure on yourself. You got to win, or you just pick the wrong sport. You're going the wrong way. When you tear your biceps, there was a lot to it. So that was probably the most, because you had to fight through the injury, which was tough.
So let's do this, right? Let's go back to the first fight where the guy was overweight, a little bigger. Your punches weren't having the effect because he was heavier. What did you take away from that? What did Drew learn about Drew in that fight?
Well, I mean, there was one I learned. I was so anxious for the fight, and it was like he weighed in 10 pounds over, and he was like killing himself to get down and still 10 pounds over.
Yeah.
Me being so anxious to be like, nah, I got to fight because we were expecting to fight. I should have said, nah, we're not taking it. Like this, I'm not taking this guy that's way heavier, that's way more experienced, all that. That didn't make sense. So I should have been smarter when it came to that, and not have just jumped in, because I was like, I don't care what he weighs. I don't care. I was like, we got to do it.
Yeah.
Dumb move. So I would say that, I mean, is as far as inside the ring, I had him a few times that I thought for sure the ref was going to step in and stop it, because he's on the ropes covered up, and I was in. And by the time the 4th round came, after going through the cycle of emotions, like all the stuff, I was like, man, I wasn't in good enough shape. I lasted the whole fight. I was good, but if I would have been just as strong in round 4 as round 1, then I would have taken him out. Round 1 and 2, I was cracking him. Everything, he had blood everywhere, all his blood all over me. But by the time round 3 and 4 came, and I started like getting a little bit more tired, my punches weren't having the same effect, and I was still hitting him hard, but it just wasn't as effective. And that's the time I could have been taking him out. So it was like, okay, I need to learn. My condition is not as good as it needs to be. Like, it was like, and now it's time to step it up. It's time to take it to the next level. Now I got that first experience of like what it's actually like in the pro fight instead of the amateur fight. And, it's hard to say what specifically, but you learn a lot. You just learn a lot, because it was one of those things where it wasn't, luckily they didn't completely screw me and give me a loss, because then it's that much more. But it was, you learn, don't put yourself in a position that you're going to get screwed like that unless it's worth it.
Yeah.
Unless,
so
it
wasn't really a decision. It was a learning lesson for you. Sometimes Mike Tyson says it best, and I believe it was Mike Tyson. You have to go through some adversity in that ring, something you didn't train for, something you didn't prepare for, that happens in that ring at that moment. That's what's going to make you a true fighter, and that's what is going to make you a greater fighter, is when you go through some adversity and don't give up and keep battling through it. And that's what you did. I mean, we're just talking about the fight you had where you tore a bicep. Look, let's face it, that's not easy to fight through. That's painful, right? And so, but you knocked the guy out. So what I'm saying is these are the things that are gonna make you a greater fighter, man. You know what I mean? I mean, 11-0 with 11 knockouts. Starting boxing at 27. I mean, you're still a young guy. You're still a good chance. Do you regret not starting earlier in life now that you feel where you are now with 11-0? Is there any regret saying, you know what, shit, maybe I should have gave up baseball or football and focus more on boxing because you're being very successful?
I go back and forth myself on that all the time. It's hard to say because as much as you would like to say, yeah, man, I wish I started when I was 10, I'd be retired by now. You never know if the path would have been the same. You never know if things would have been the same way as what they are now.
Yeah.
Also, like, if I gave up the other sports, maybe I have the type of friends that I have now. Maybe I don't have the same type of – maybe I don't come to Florida. Maybe I'm still in New Bedford. Maybe I started boxing it out. Like, who knows? Who knows if things would have worked out? So, like, I look at it like, you know what? Maybe it's not ideal for most people, but it all happened for a reason, and it happened the way it happened for some reason, and I can't go back and change it now. So, oh well. I just focus on where.
Look, you are where you are now. You're being successful. You're on a roll after your first 2 fights with a decision. You're torn bicep, so you're building strength and character. You're learning so much. I mean, let me ask you this: if you could fight anyone, what's your dream fight?
Anybody that's fighting right now, or just ever?
No, right now. Anybody. If you could have a dream fight, if you could have one dream fight with anyone, who would it be?
That's hard to say because man, those guys, like, you know, it's as much as it to say someone like, oh, I'd love to fight Canelo.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, you're at a uphill battle, but if you're gonna fight a guy like that, you're walking away with millions of dollars to change your life drastically. So I mean,
only one fight can do that. You're right.
The reward is worth it, but if you're looking at a fight that you'd love to have, that you'd love to win, you're gonna look at it way differently. So, I mean, yeah, it's easy for me to say I'd love to go fight, say, someone like Canelo because, yeah, maybe I don't make it out of a round or two, but the whole course of my life is different because the few $1 million I make to go through that, then you know what? It'd be worth it. It'd be worth it to me. So, I mean, something like that would be awesome, but yeah, I don't know. That's a tough one.
I think you stay on course of what you're doing. I think you're going to get to where you want to be. You know, talking to you about the bicep and tearing a bicep and fighting through that really impresses me a lot about you. You know, your mental toughness and fighting through it, and you know, actually knocking the guy out with a torn bicep. It just says a lot about you and how you're dedicated to the sport and how hard you work, and you're not going to give up. You know, if you're going to beat me, it's going to take blood, sweat, and tears. Where look, man, it's going to be a dog fight. If you want to beat the Tomahawk Twirly, it's going to be a fucking dog fight. I ain't here to play. I'm here to really get down to business, and we're going to bang. It's going to be a war, and I hope you're as ready as I am. And that's what I'm taking away. And I'm so excited for you, man. I'm a fan. You know, you got fans. There's a lot of fans I was talking to. Sean Riley is a huge fan of yours. Bruce David, huge fan. There's other people that are huge fan of yours. When would you like to come back and maybe fight in the New Bedford area, if you could make that happen?
I mean, that's always been a dream. That's always been, since I started, it's always been something that I've wanted to do since the first day I started boxing. That was, as soon as I made my mind up that I wanted to start fighting, automatically I was like, I want to fight at home. I want to be able to fight in New Bedford in front of the crowd. Like, that would be so cool to me. And I've actually been working on it, trying to find. I have some promoters out there that will host a fight that want to do it in New Bedford and make me the main event. So we're working on trying to get where we could do it. They're looking to maybe do something in like the summertime, like an outdoor event.
Yeah.
So we're thinking about it. I was thinking like, man, how cool would it be to do right at New Bedford High in the basketball court and bring the bleachers down and you could fill up, but
Absolutely.
then, in a boxing fight, the fans want to drink. I don't know if you could do that in a high school. I don't know.
High school, yeah. So how about like Florida has the PAL, right? And they have a liquor license. And I'm gonna tell you what, I was just at the PAL before Thanksgiving. I got an opportunity to watch the Golden Glove fighters versus the West Point Cadets out of New York State fight, and people were drinking. Not one problem, not one issue. You know what I mean? So that's not the thing. Is people drinking and having a problem, because the boxing fans are really good fans. Yeah, it's about hosting it where you could make the place could make money on their drinks. I think there's a few places. I know you want to do it in New Bedford. I think New Bedford's a great city. I think it could happen. It's just going to take a little bit of work and finding a place, man. I mean, I like that. And if you ever do, me and Sean Riley are coming, sit in front row and going crazy watching you fight. So, look, man, 11-0, 11 knockouts. How do you feel about that, man? That's going to make you feel really good, man.
Yeah, I mean, it's cool, but I'm not where I want to be. So it's cool, but it's not that cool. It's
right.
Yeah, a lot of people.
I'm sorry for busting in. Drew, is this one of your fights? I think I found a real early fight of yours, and I'm not sure.
Yeah, so that was my first.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. All right, I'm gonna play this, and you guys go ahead and talk about it.
Yeah, all right, Drew. Let's take a look at it. My producer's right on.
Yeah, so that was.
So this is your very first fight. This guy's overweight. Go ahead, tell me about it. Take me through it.
Yeah, so this was the third round. This was my first fight. Like I said, the guy was out 10 fights in or something. He was like a light heavyweight or cruiserweight. So he was a much bigger fighter, much bigger guy just in general, you can see. And not like he's, like I said, he was not like he was some superstar fighter, and he's not like he was in the greatest shape in the world, but he's just an experienced journeyman, and he was a guy that heavier, knew how to lean on you, he knew how to survive. He just knew how to survive and make it, and that was the thing. And when you're not at that point, like I had some knockouts in amateur, but when you don't really know how to close it out yet, that guy that can survive is tough, especially when he's so much bigger.
And let's face it, sometimes the record doesn't mean the fight is good or bad. You know what I mean? And so, but I'm watching you here, and I'm liking your footwork. I'm liking the head movement. The dips. I love you using your jab. I mean, there's your feet work going there, getting a little bounce going. I really like your style, man. I really do. I mean, you got some really good. You use that jab to the body. You use that jab to the head. You know what I mean? You look good. There's the right hand right there. There it is again. I mean, you're in tremendous shape for your first fight, and to battle through that, man. I mean, that says a lot, man. I'm telling you, man. I've been involved in boxing my whole life, man, and I did amateur boxing, and then I kind of went down the wrong road. That's for another show. And every time I watch professional fighting, I get a little emotional because I know that's something I could have done if I would have stuck with it and do good, man. And I'm watching you here, and yeah, man, you get the head movement going on. You look good, and yeah, man. I mean, 11-0. So let's. This is great, man. This is great. What do you take away from your performance here while watching it?
I mean, I'm not satisfied. I'm not happy. I didn't win. So really, it's like a loss. It might as well just, glad it wasn't a loss, but it's basically in my mind a loss because he didn't win. Draw. It's a loss in my head. So it gave me that much more. Like that.
Absolutely. See, and that's the thing, right? Now, my producer will take that away, and we'll get back to our conversation. So you've had your first two fights. Maybe you didn't have the outcome you wanted, right? But now you're on this roll. What's changed? Now you're on this 11-0, 11 knockouts. What is Drew doing differently?
I have a coach now. That's a big difference. Having a coach and having a good coach, not just somebody watching you, a good coach. So that's made a big difference. I look back at that video and I'm like, man, he'd be tearing my ass up if he was watching that, because that's terrible. That's 3 years ago. December.
Yeah.
3 years from that fight. So I'm like, man, watching that, it's almost like that was so long ago that I can't even believe that that's how I looked, you know? So, I mean, but it was like getting through the neck at the 2 draws and then the bicep tear, the next fight. So it's like,
right
now you got surgery. Now I was 2 days after surgery, I was in the gym working out legs in the calves.
Wow.
And I was like, fuck that. I'm not going to sit here and be lit. I'm not going to be one of those guys that takes his cast off and this arm's skinny and this one's normal. And I was like, nah, this arm's going to be ready.
Listen to this guy, people. Listen.
10
This
days
is
later,
what I'm talking about, baby. Go ahead, man.
I have a video 10 days after surgery with the sling off doing 1-arm burpees. With this arm just like this doing the burpees. I put my hand on the steering wheel, turn the steering wheel, and just make my arm move, just to get the movement.
Wow.
Take a jump rope and put it over a pole and hold it and just pull it down. So this arm had to go up. Just little shit like that. That I was like, I'm not gonna sit here and be. The doctor told me 6 months until it's healed. I said, yeah, 6 months for you. Fuck you, because I'll beat that. And I was like,
I love that, Drew.
He cleared me in 3.5 months. I fought 4 months after surgery.
That is.
I came back and he was like, he's like moving it and this and that. And I was like, he was like, I'm going to clear you. I already starting to, lifting, doing pull-ups, I was like, fuck it. The more I sit around, the 6 months will happen.
Absolutely, man.
I was at the track. The surgery was like maybe Monday. Thursday, I was on the track running. Tuesday, I was at the gym working out legs.
Dude, you're hungry. You're hungry. Yeah. Keep that mentality, man. Yeah. I'm telling you. Keep that mentality. You're hungry. I'm not number one. I'm never going to be number one. I'm number 2, and I'm always going to keep striving to be number 1. Because I see some of these fighters, and, man, listen, fuck this, man. You got Ryan Garcia, Canelo. All these guys fight more on social media than they do in that ring, baby. Yeah. Let's look, man. What's next for Drew? I know you got something coming up. We're not going to mention any names. Talk to me a little bit about it. Just tell me a little bit about what you got coming up without any names or giving anything away.
So what we're working on right now is January 21st in Tampa for a title, for a belt. So we're working on either a WBC or WBA title, a 10-round fight. Another undefeated fighter, son of a former world champ. So it'd be a big step up, big fight, but it'll be good. It's gonna be a good next step for what's more to come.
So let me ask you this while I got you on air, and we're gonna share this video. We're gonna get a lot of views because I'm in all kind of boxing rooms and stuff like that. No matter the outcome. When this fight happens, no matter the outcome, will you come back on a neutral corner?
Of course.
Listen, I got a question. Go ahead. What were you going to say? Were you going to say something?
Yeah, the hometown area stuff. That's I love that. I love that. Everything to do with New Bedford, Fall River, just in general, Boston. I love it. I love it. I'm always wearing New Bedford shirts.
I'm just gonna say, I seen the shirt, man. I seen the shirt, baby. New Bedford in the house right here. New Bedford in the house.
I still wear my practice jersey from high school from basketball. I have like 4 of them still. I have New Bedford socks. I have New Bedford shirts. Boston.
I love it. You're a whaler, man. I mean, there's nothing. You can take the boy out the hood, but you can't take the hood out the boy, baby. I'm a Fall River guy, true. I love my city. Yeah. Hey, look, we only got a few more minutes, but I got somebody questioning, right? So, Crispy Baco, I may not pronounce the name right. She says, do you think Louis Resto should ever be forgiven?
I'm not
You not
really
know who
sure
that
that
is?
is. So yeah, let's
Yeah,
forgive.
she says, nice, great, best of luck, Drew. Is Rich Franklin one of them dream matches, or him or her? I don't know. It's Crispy Frocco, and she's asking, is Rich Franklin one of them dream matches?
Another person, I don't know who that is. So
That's fine. That's all right. That's all right. Thanks for the questions. I do want to get to one thing. I noticed you post on your Facebook a lot of inspirational stuff, and it seems like you're an inspirational guy. You want to help people to live their dream like you're doing. It's never too old, never too late. You know what I mean? To be that. And that's cool, man. That's cool. That's cool.
Yeah.
To do shit like that.
I really feel like my whole sports career, my whole life, I feel like I've always been an underdog. I feel like I've always been overlooked. I've always been one of the better players or best players on any team I've always been on, but I've always been overlooked. Everybody wants somebody to overshadow me. Everybody from the outside looking in wants, nah, that guy's the best. Nah, until I feel like I always have to prove more than everybody else. So I always have that like chip on my shoulder and that inspiration in myself. So I'd like to see other people have that type of see it from why I'm that way. And maybe it's something that they can pick up on and use for themselves for whatever it is that they're doing.
Absolutely, man. That I like that. You're right here. You're in a good from talking to you tonight. And I know we've talked, through Messenger and stuff like that. But listen to you talking about, your new trainer. You're on a roll right now. It seems you're confident. You're very passionate about what you're doing. I mean, you're a tough son of a bitch to fight with a fucking torn bicep. Fighting guys overweight, and it just says a lot about your mentality and where you want to go, and where do you want to take this. Let me ask you this. What do you think of high school boxing? Now, when I say that to you, I want you to think, the big three. I think the big three was New Bedford, Durfee, and Taunton. Like, what do you think of high school boxing? But being done the right way, Olympic style boxing, maybe your freshman and sophomore year, no contact. Your junior year, you start sparring, and then your senior year, you start competing in this big three boxing. Because we know down south, down where you are and stuff, high school boxing's a thing, man.
I think it would be great.
High school boxing, yeah.
I think it's great because, like you were talking about before, what have you learned about yourself? I learned a lot about myself in boxing, way more than anything else I've ever done.
Wow.
You learn a lot. You really learn who you are and what you're willing to fight through and what you're willing to do and what you're willing to give and how deep you can pull from within yourself when you're tired and you're getting hit and you're like, man, this fucking sucks.
Yeah.
And you're getting hit and you're like, why am I doing this? There's a lot of people that ask themselves that question and don't have an answer and they never come back to the gym. There's a lot of people that have an answer and they show back up. So I think it would be great for kids, especially kids in the New Bedford, Fall River area, that they're in those teen years and they're lost. They don't have anywhere to go. They don't have anywhere to turn to. They don't have anything. They need a coach. They need to learn about themselves. They need to learn mental toughness. They need all that so they don't steer the wrong way in life. And we see too many kids that happens to. So I think it would be great if that happened, especially if it was done and taught the right way and really
right. Absolutely.
Big benefit.
So let me ask you this in closing. One last question. What do you want to be remembered for at the end of your career? Is it too soon to ask that? Because we'll skip it.
Nah, to be remembered as a champion.
Absolutely, baby. Hey, Drew.
I want to be a champion.
Drew Tomahawk Dwelly, 11-0. Going to be having some big things coming up in January. I want to thank you so much for taking time out of your workout, taking time out of your day and your night to be here with us on a Neutral Corner. It's an honor to have you on. And you want to give a shout out to anybody in the New Bedford area that we haven't mentioned? Anybody. Go ahead. Now's the time to do it, man.
First off, I want to thank you for having me. I appreciate it. I want to shout out to everybody in New Bedford. I want to shout out the whole city because the whole city supports me. They're behind me. They come to my fights. They're following me on social media, even though I'm in a different part of the country. And it's great to just have the whole city behind me. And yeah, I love it. I love New Bedford and I love the people, and I'm proud to be from there, proud to represent it, and proud to call it home.
Absolutely, and I'm sure they are proud of you. Drew, thanks again for coming on tonight, man. It was an honor to have you. And now let's forget, we will have you on again.
Yes, absolutely.
All right, awesome. Drew, thanks so much, man. Have a great night. All right?
You too.
All right, man. Thanks, Drew. That is awesome. So that's Drew Tomahawk Dwelly from New Bedford. Some big things happening for him in the upcoming new year. Straight out of New Bedford, baby. I'm a Fall River guy. He's a New Bedford guy. We just had a great conversation. See, New Bedford and Fall River can come together and make some good things happen. I wish Drew the best. I want to wish you the best. I want to thank you for tuning in tonight, and we are back next Thursday. Again, thank you so much for coming on tonight. FFN Radio Network. This is the Neutral Corner. Thank you all for participating. Thank you for joining in the show. And I always want to thank you for your support. Listen, it's more important now than ever that we get out and support these local businesses. They're the ones out there to support you. So let's make time and make an effort to get out and support our local business. Everything behind that jab, and you're going to be okay. Have a great night.
Is there any way you can lose?
Yeah, if I don't show up. And that's the only way I can lose. And believe me, I will be there.
This is Daryl, Too Sweet Coley, 38-2, 28 knockouts, former #1 welterweight in the world, on the Neutral Corner with Jerry Sosa.
I'm going to show you how great I am.
I'm the best ever. I'm the most brutal and vicious and most ruthless champion there's ever been. There's no one can stop me.
I wish I was 50 years younger and I'd kick your ass.